All right. Welcome, everybody. So today, this is an exciting day. There are some people that you meet in this world that you just figure out, what, I was really meant to meet this person. And today, our Tutorpreneur Hero is one of those people. She has a heart of gold and she really cares about helping students. So today, we are here with Elizabeth Hansford, who is winning our Tutorpreneur Hero Award 2019. Woo! It's the last one of the year, Beth.
Oh my
You get the
goodness.
last one of 2019. What a way to go out with a bang, hey?
Yeah, thank you so much, by the way. This means so much to me. So
Well,
I
and
really
you mean
appreciate it.
you mean a lot to me. I mean, you came into this community and you just like make everybody feel so special, so welcome. And when I could just see how you were connecting with people, I knew right away that you were the person that I needed to turn into my right hand man. And so, some of you guys may know Elizabeth because she welcomed you into the Ultimate Support Group for online tutors in Facebook. If you're not a member yet, definitely go on over there and join us. It's a free group where we just talk about anything about online tutoring. And you do such a great job of being able to welcome people in, share information, share your experience with them. And that's what this Tutorpreneur Hero Award is about. It's not just about, the tutor that's able to get the most clients at the end of the day. It is about people that are willing to go the extra step and be able to help others in the community. Because, you know, we can it can be so lonely here in our online tutoring world without people like you to make us feel like we're not alone. So thank you for everything that you do in our community.
Well, thank you so much for your kind words. I really do appreciate it. And I have been so blessed by this community. And I'm just so grateful to be able to, give back the support that I've received from everybody here. So it's really been just amazing. I mean, I started out, like you said, just I apologize. I'm getting a call. Anyway, just alone and sorry, um, feeling alone and isolated, and really been appreciative of being able to have that support in the ultimate support group. So thank you.
Yeah, you are welcome. And we have some people joining us today. We've got Kathy Cousino in the house and Radiant 70. So glad that you guys are joining us today as we get to hear Beth's journey and Beth's story into her online tutoring journey. So Beth, you had messaged me earlier this week. You had mentioned that this has been 1 year since you found out about the series of surgeries that you're going to need. So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So a year ago, I was dealing with a ton of health issues. I was at school still. I was an hour away from home, and just dealing with a ton of health issues, and I had to leave the school that I loved. And it was honestly pretty devastating for me, and I didn't know what life was going to be like after that. And
Mhm.
honestly, if you had told me, or if anybody had told me that life was going to look like what it is today, back then, I wouldn't have believed them. It's really cool, and that's just what I was messaging you about, because it really just is so cool, how just a year later this has all happened, and I'm
Yeah.
just so thankful for the journey that it's been. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's amazing how sometimes things that when we're going through them in the moment, they can seem like the most horrible thing. And
mhm.
then with perspective and time, they end up being some of the biggest blessings that we've had to walk through.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because so it actually, the surgeries and everything led me to this online tutoring journey, because um, I was going to be in bed for months and not really. I'm a major extrovert. You've probably learned this about me by now, and I need daily time with people in my life, and not being able to do that in college and everything was going to be difficult. And so I was looking for something that I could do that would still be contributing to my community, helping people, and still, fulfill me as well. Still give me that time with people and help me feel like I was doing something to help. And my brother actually suggested, why don't you look into this online tutoring thing? And that's what started this journey for me. So.
Oh, very cool. It's sometimes too, like when we're just kind of starting to be in that lost stage, like, well, what do I do now? That
Right.
sometimes we get some of the best advice from people. It's like, hey, have you thought of this or have you tried this? And so that's what led you then into this whole journey. And so then did you start off working for a company or what happened for you?
So I tried to apply to a lot of the big major companies that people have probably heard of, but a lot of them wouldn't accept me because I still hadn't gotten my degree yet. But then I applied to this tutoring platform that kind of just accepted pretty much anybody, and I got on, and it was good. I mean, I got students for a while and it was okay, but you know, I kind of felt this obligation almost to accept anybody that came through my door because I was kind of desperate for students, and
Right.
when you're in that beginning stage, you really just do kind of feel desperate to accept anybody that comes through your door. And I didn't have that ideal client or anything that I've learned now. And I didn't know anything about the technology or anything like that. So that's kind of what my experience was with the platform.
Yeah. Yeah, so
So
you're really in the beginning stages and kind of having to navigate and learn all of it on your own. As you were going through that, how did that feel?
very, very lonely. um, and I didn't really know, at the time, I didn't know anybody else who was doing it. And so, um, yeah, and I just, it creates kind of this, I think we've talked about this before, like this feeling of desperation, and you like, I've
Mhm.
got to get this next client. I've got to figure out how can I, you know, um, how can I put myself out there so that I can get this next client and the next client and the next client? Um,
Mhm.
and how can I market everything that I do, everything that I could possibly teach so that I can get as many clients as possible? And of course, when you're on the platforms, that's what they want you to do, but
Mhm.
that's not the best strategy overall.
Yeah. Yeah,
So.
you're right, because that's really an employee mindset. That's how employees think, right? If I list down a whole bunch of things that I can do, then I should be able to get more clients. However, when we make that transition, you guys, from being able to be an employee to own our own business, we have to think about who is it that I'm going to be able to speak to and who is it that I'm going to be able to market to. And setting yourself up as an expert allows you to be able to do that. And you really struggled in the beginning with figuring out like, so what am I the expert in? I remember you really struggled with, I want to do ESL and I want to do Spanish, and you wanted to do them both. It was really
Yeah.
hard for you to choose and it was really hard for you to decide. Tell us about that.
Yes. So I loved ESL and Spanish both. And I remember in our beginning trainings well, beginning for me, in the trainings and everything, I was really struggling to niche down because I was convinced I could teach both effectively and market both effectively, but that's really not true. Maybe I can teach both effectively, but I could really only market one at a time. So I've now completely stopped marketing one, and I'm only focusing on marketing Spanish, and it's been so much better. Um, so so I've really because I've been a Spanish learner myself my entire life. I realized that I could speak to those people that are learning Spanish, and the parents of people who are learning Spanish, because I know what that process is like. And I know
Mhm.
the frustrations and the fears and the dreams that they might have. And so I realized that I could speak to them. And so wanted to market to Spanish learners. So that's what I'm focusing on right now. So
And that's fantastic. I mean, you can always add the other part in there later if you decide
yeah.
to do that, but getting good at marketing one area takes the overwhelm away. Did you ever feel in the beginning like you were frustrated or overwhelmed or anything? I hear tutors all the time talking about that. And I know I felt that in the beginning too, just like, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. And I feel like I wish I knew it already. And I feel like I'm 10 steps behind.
Absolutely. Much more so before I found your community than afterwards, but absolutely I did, because there's almost too much to learn if you don't have a system in place in order to learn it, a step-by-step system.
Hmm.
And you cannot learn it all at once, and you cannot learn it all on your own, I feel like. So
No, because you have no way to be able to get feedback on what it is that you're doing. So you could be
yeah.
trying a strategy that you've heard works, but not implementing it correctly.
Yep. And I
Um,
did that.
yeah, I mean, so many people they want to get like one of the very first things that a lot of tutors will do is they'll get business cards right off the bat. Let me get some business cards, and then I'll start like handing them out. But that strategy doesn't work. Most people just throw the business cards away. So hold off on getting your business cards, people. Hold off
Yeah.
on getting those business cards unless
Yeah.
you plan on going to some networking events or plan on speaking on stage or those kinds of things. Hold off on the business cards because um, grabbing the person's email and getting back to them is going to be a better strategy than trying to hope that they call you.
Yes.
So it can be really, really crazy. So we've got some other people I'd like to welcome into the house. We've got Maria. She says, Beth, you are always so helpful and always there. Thank you.
Aw.
We've got two Jims in the house, Jim Shelley, and I'm going to call you Jim E because I do not want to mess up your last name. So I appreciate you being here. And Ramona is in the house as well. She said, congratulations, Beth. This is much deserved. So those of you that are just joining us, Beth is here today because she is getting the very last award of the year, our Tutorpreneur Hero Award. Woo, doo, doo, doo. And each month I recognize people who are going above and beyond in our community. And one of the cool things is, you guys, that like I think it's sometime in the summer,
Yeah.
I invited all of the Tutorpreneur heroes that have won the award. And I was listening to their stories, and just about every single one of those people who won the Tutorpreneur Hero Award had gotten book solid, which is absolutely incredible. So look, this is where you're projecting. So 1 year ago, you couldn't imagine where you are today. And now 1 year from today, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, a year ago, I was winning that Tutorpreneur Hero Award. And now look where I'm at.
Yeah. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I mean, with the Jumpstart program and everything I'm doing right now, I can't wait to see what I'm gonna be able to do in a year, and what students I'm gonna be able to work with. I'm just really, really excited.
Oh
So
my gosh. I'm excited too. Now, we're going to dive in to some of those strategies that don't work for people. And one of the things that can be so like it's like a brainstorm of an idea. We're like, you know what? Why don't I play with Facebook ads or Google ads? It seems like an easy way to be able to get people to find me and learn about me and hire me. And you took that on, you tried it out, and tell us your experience with that.
I did. Oh boy, I took it on, and I wasted a whole bunch of money with both of those strategies, because so I actually I sorry, to be honest, I did have people who found me. That's the key word. I had people who found me through both of those strategies, but I did not have a single person who moved forward with me. I did not get a single client, because through those strategies, you don't find your ideal client. You don't find people who are ready to move forward, who are ready to take the next step, who are ready to, do anything beyond like maybe a free program, unless you have like extensive training in both of those programs. So that's been my experience with those. I spent a whole lot of money and got zero money back. And so the ROI was terrible, terrible,
Yeah.
terrible. So
Yeah. And for those of you that don't know what ROI, that's return on investment.
yes, so,
So
yeah.
yeah, it can be frustrating when you get those kinds of results. And
Mhm.
in no way am I saying like don't try Facebook ads or Google ads if you have marketing background and experience. So if you've used it in your other businesses and you've had success with it, then it could work for you. So I do think that, kind of putting that on out there. Many of us, when we join the online tutoring world, that maybe we have a website, maybe we don't have a website, maybe we have a niche, maybe we don't have a niche, we're still so scattered in the beginning that to be able to use a tool like that, it's an advanced marketing tool. And you need to know how to segment the audience. You need to know how to split test and experiment and be able to see, okay, if I change this word on here, how does that change? How many people, if I change this color on here, how will that change how people react, respond? Are they reacting to one image more than they're reacting to another image? So there's a lot of split testing that needs to go on. It's not a matter of go on in there, throw out your first ad, and bam, people are immediately going to find you. It is a
No.
whole bunch of split testing and experimenting that needs to be done. Along with, you need to have the right marketing message for your ideal client. You can't have the right marketing message if you're trying to market to everyone, right? And so being able to have a clear marketing message is going to help you with having more success with that. But it's definitely, there are a lot of other things that you could try before trying that will get you more success over time. And then later on, if you decide that you want to start dabbling into that a little bit more after you gain more experience, you can feel free to dabble. But again, dabble, experiment. Don't throw wads of money away and then not pay attention. Because what happens is that money just drains. It goes down, 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 down. And you're like, what? Nothing? Nothing? Are you kidding me?
Well, and for me, like it was disheartening to see, because I would get excited when somebody would click on my, because it gives you like who clicked on it or whatever. I would get excited when I would see people clicking on it, and then it would almost be even worse when they didn't do anything after that,
Right. They
Um,
didn't take the
so,
call to action. They didn't call you. They didn't
right.
sign up for anything or and that's the other thing too is we don't really know how to in the beginning create a powerful call to action.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that piece down and know what's going to move people to take action, it's going to be hard to create an ad where you're asking people to take action
Mm.
to do that. Jim Shelley mentioned that he's also listed everything on his tutoring profile as well, and he's narrowed it down to kind of two niches, and he may take our advice and narrow it on down to just one niche. Now, it is important to know, and I do like to always share this information with people that when I say narrowing it down to one niche, that doesn't mean that you can't work with other students if people ask for your services. Okay,
Mhm.
so I'm not saying only tutor one thing. I'm saying only market one thing. And that's a completely different message. And a lot of people misunderstand what that means. So if somebody like I tutor reading, math, writing, but my go to marketing has always been reading. I always get people though. Who ask me if I do math tutoring. I always get people ask me if I do spelling tutoring or writing tutoring. At that point, I can then open up my services if I choose to say yes or no. It opens up the door to opportunity that wouldn't have been opened if I didn't have a direct and clear marketing message that drove people to say, I want to work with her. And so that's what we try to create in the Jumpstart program and the Insider Secrets Club. We try to create that kind of a feeling that people want to jump on board and be able to hire you. Now, there's also, um, unfortunately, a lot of scams out there of people
Yeah.
who they kind of prey on tutors that are new in the industry or even other service providers, but there are some specific ones for tutoring that have specifically come come down the line. I don't know. Have you ever received one of these where they say something like, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to have a driver drop off our kid at your house and he's going to require 5 days a week of tutoring? Have you ever received one of these emails or messages?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Okay. If you guys hear any of those kinds of things, it is a scam. Don't continue to go along with it. What are your thoughts, Elizabeth?
yeah, those are always a little bit bizarre to me, and honestly, we always make sure to share them in the Insider Secrets Club whenever we get the newest one, because then people know what to look out for. Because honestly, these scammers are not very creative, so they usually copy and paste the same one and blast it out to multiple people. Anyway, yes, so I have definitely received them, and I always just tend to ignore them because they, first of all, it's not going to go anywhere good, and second of all, if you reply, then they have your information that they can do, who knows what with. So I mean, don't be afraid of it, but also just don't do anything with it.
Yeah, you're just kind of like shake it off, like, oh, there it is again. Oops, there it is. Ooh, oops,
Yeah.
there it is. It happens, but it's not something to be scared of, like you said. Like as long as you can recognize that that's what it is.
Right.
So the way that the scam particularly works is they will say that they're going to send you a check,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have to end up paying the check bounces, but they tell you that you need to pay the driver. So you pay the driver from the funds that the guy gave you, but then that check actually doesn't go through. So it's very methodical on their part, and that's kind of how that one runs. There's also some interesting folks out there that will reach on out to you, offering other services and that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What specifically happened with you, Elizabeth?
Yeah, so I got a call from, I actually thought they were somebody requesting my services, so I picked up right away, which is another story that you shouldn't do. But I got a call from I believe they were a magazine that said they could advertise my services to a whole bunch of people. And who knows if they were a legit magazine or not, but I have learned that at least at the very beginning, when you're still small and nobody really knows about you, it's not really wise to accept an offer like that from somebody who reaches out to you. Always reach out to somebody else if you want an advertising opportunity, because
Right.
because usually they're just trying to prey on you if it's somebody reaching out to you. What do you think about that, Joanne?
Yeah, absolutely. I had one person at a time reach on out to me and said that they would put my ad on a homework folder that would go
Yeah.
out to all of the parents. And I said, "Great, can you send me what that homework folder is going to look like? Because I'd like to be able to review it and just see like how should I like put my ad on there and that kind of stuff." And they said, "Well, we'll send you like an image of what it looks like and go from there." I fell prey to it. It was about a $350 investment, but I thought, look, if this is really a homework folder that's going to go out to kids in my area, that's really an awesome idea. But then, you know, my kids, like, I don't know why I fell for this because, like, my kids at my school, we buy their folders. They don't have a
Oh.
homework folder that is given to them from the school. So, who's getting these homework folders? Are they people that can afford their folders or not afford their folders? So like, is that my ideal client? If they can't afford their own folder and they're being given a folder by the school,
Mhm.
they probably can't hire me for my services because they're not going to be able to afford it, or it never happened. All I know
Right.
is I never got one single call from that experience. And so I never went forward with it again. Is that a legit company, I have no idea if they're legit or not, but I don't think that it is a good way to invest my money. And so that's why I like to warn people like, hey, I tried this one, it cost me a lot of money and it didn't work, so that people are, you know, just aware of some of these things that exist out there. Now, I
Yeah.
had another guy call me and he said, I work with the Hamilton School District and I'm giving you a call. Please call me back. I want to learn more about your tutoring services.
Hmm.
I'm like, wow, awesome. That's so cool. Like Hamilton's calling me. I like
Uh-huh.
gave them a call back immediately. And the guy starts trying to sell me on advertising on the Hamilton basketball, high school basketball programs. And
Hmm.
I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, my ideal client isn't actually that's not my ideal client. Like the high school kids aren't my ideal client, so that's not a good fit for me." I said, "And on top of that, this was a time when I was like book solid." I said, "On
Mhm.
top of it, I'm book solid with the strategies that I'm trying now, but thanks again for reaching on out to me." He kept hounding me like,
Yep.
"What do you mean? Like, why wouldn't you want to have this kind of leverage with your business? And think about when you don't have students, what are you gonna do then?" And I'm thinking, it's called reach out to social media, and I'll be able to book myself pretty quickly,
Yeah.
and using the resources and tools that I have in place. Like, I'm good. I have a great system in place,
It
but
sounds sorry.
yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. It sounds like that's the exact people that reached out to me, because I got the exact same deal. Um, the sports magazine or whatever, and then they've been hounding me. They've been calling me like twice a week for the past like 3 or 4 weeks, um, trying to get me to come back, and I'm like, no, no, thanks. I've just
Yep.
been ignoring their calls.
Yeah, there's just something not right about that, but it is
Yeah,
different if you're reaching out, like if you go to a certain website, you're like, my ideal client is here, and you
yeah,
take a look at their ads on there, and you're like, you know what, I think maybe putting an ad on this website would be a good fit because then my ideal client would find me. That is a completely different move.
so
That's a
different.
completely different move. That is I am going in with this knowing my ideal client is here. This is going to be a good use of my money, and let me see if I would be able to get some clients this way. That would be a good use of your money if you were to go that route. Again, you need to know how to create a marketing message, create a banner ad, or create a side ad, whatever ad that you're paying for. That's what you're going to need to know the knowledge of, and how to get them to take a call to action and have them land on then a landing page where they set up a free consultation or a free assessment with you. That
Mhm.
would be the route to go, but these other strategies, they really don't work. So I'm really glad that we're able to like uncover a few of these for people, so hopefully that they don't fall into some of um these situations as well. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing with us, because it's really hard sometimes for us to share the kinds of mistakes that we've made like this in our business.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if somebody can avoid making the same mistakes that I've made, that's gonna be all the better. That's why I share. I'm always, whenever I hear of somebody trying these strategies, I'm always like, no, please, please stop.
I know. I know,
Um,
me too. And
but
those people usually don't want to listen to me at all. Like, no, 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 it's going to work. They're really headstrong. And because they've been sold on it, right? Like maybe they've
yeah,
taken a training and they're like, they've been sold on this strategy and they're like, they
right,
they think it is like the holy grail, and it's not. These things really are not the holy grail. They're not good situations.
right.
Now,
So I'm happy to share.
yes, yes. So you tried some of these other strategies that didn't
Yeah.
work, like the Google ads, the Facebook ads, the um kind of working for another company, and then you found us. What was that
Yes.
experience like?
Oh my goodness. So yes, so I found you, I believe, through one of your webinars, and then I joined the ultimate support group from there. And right away it was completely different. It was like night and day. It was just, it went from isolation into just, oh, there are other people experience these same things that I do, oh my goodness, this is great. And so I was able to ask all of my questions, and I felt like I was asking all of the kind of newbie questions at the very beginning, but people were so patient with me. They just answered all of my questions right from the very beginning, and then I started hearing about this thing called the Insider Secrets Club. I was like, okay, whatever that is, I have to figure out a way to join. And so as soon as the doors opened for that, I took the leap to join that, even though at that time it was a stretch for me, but I was like, okay, this is going to be the next step for my business. I just knew in my heart that was going to be the next big leap for my business. And so I just knew I had to do it. And I'm so grateful that I did.
Yeah. And I'm so grateful you did too, because now you're getting students.
Yes, exactly.
So it's working. So,
Yeah.
some of the other strategies you were trying, which weren't really like resulting in what you wanted for an end result, you're now learning that you need to learn to really run a legit online tutoring business where you can get paid what you're worth.
Exactly. And funny story. I never, like, I don't know if I've ever told you this before. So funny story time. But I never went into this thinking that I was going to create a business before I found you guys. And then I was like, wait, you can actually like create your own business. You don't have to be stuck on these tutoring companies that you can only make a certain wage an hour and whatnot. And then I found you guys, and I was like, oh, I can actually make this a legit business. And so I knew I had to learn from you guys. So it was awesome.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Okay, so I remember when you came onto one of our calls, and I was asking people to share like something unique about themselves, and you shared about how you're on the sled hockey team, and I'd never heard of a sled hockey team before. So I'm like, okay, what is sled hockey? And then you ended up like sending me a picture of sled hockey, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, Beth is in a wheelchair? What? Because like, you guys, like, this is what I see all the time. But Beth is in a wheelchair. And I just think that this is just so awesome, because it opens the door for so many people to continue to be able to add value and worth and be able to do what you love. And oh my gosh, like, it just opens up a whole new world. So I don't know if you knew how excited I was when I learned about it. Like, I was just like, this is amazing, because you are incredibly bright person, and I know that there's so many other people that are just like you that want to be able to do what you're doing. And because of you, they're going to be introduced to this whole new idea of online tutoring, that they can do it too. So tell us about, a little bit about like your journey. How did you come into, were you, I don't even know your story about any of it. I've never asked you. So do you mind sharing with us?
Sure, I can share. Yeah, so you're learning all sorts of things about me today. But yeah, so I was born with something called spina bifida, and it there's lots of different levels and things that it's a bit complicated. But for me, I'm pretty much paralyzed from the waist down. I used to be able to walk, but until I was about 19. But now I'm not able to, for various reasons. And so, and as I've gotten older, different things have just come in with different health issues. And also, I've started to really think about, okay, how can I have a career, and what kind of career can I have that will give me the flexibility that I need to have to be able to take care of my health long term, but also, fulfill me and give me the joy that that everybody, seeks in a career. So I thought, for a long time that I wanted to be a classroom teacher. But I realized that that might not be a good fit for me long term because of the different health needs and the time that I might need to take off and things like that. So that's when I started learning about online tutoring, and I was like, oh, okay, so I can first of all do this from home, which is good. I can schedule it around my doctor's appointments. I have a lot of doctor's appointments and things that I need to do. And then also if something were to happen, and thankfully I'm in a spot right now. I've just had a year where things have kind of been tricky, but thankfully health situations don't come up very often. But when they do, I can, take some time off, deal with them, and then come back into tutoring. So the flexibility is one of the things that I really, really appreciate about the online tutoring world.
Yeah.
I can schedule it when I need to, and then when I can't do it, I can still work around it.
Yeah.
And the ability eventually, I'm not at this point in my business yet. I'm still focusing on just the online tutoring part of it, but the ability eventually to make passive income and to potentially, when I am kind of down and out for the count after a surgery or whatever, to make income still would be really, really helpful as well. So that's
Yeah.
something I'm thinking about for later on.
Absolutely. I got a
So,
cough now.
so I don't know if that answered your question at all, but
It did. It did. I love hearing about like people's stories. And I just think it's so incredible. Like there's so many people too, like like I started because of a health scare as well. I was in and out of the hospital and I had a pain in my side. And at that point I had, 3 baby girls that were, real little at the time. And it took me out of the school system, and it actually it became this thing that at the time was, in my mind, the worst thing that could happen to me. It ended up being the greatest blessing because I got clear on what it was that I wanted to do. And it sounds like the same kind of thing happened for you, where you began to get that clarity. Now, a lot of people, they think like, oh, I have to have a degree in order to be able to tutor online. Are you still going for your degree right now?
Yes, very slowly, but slow and steady wins the race, right?
Exactly. I mean, just keep at it and go for it. But you don't need a degree in order to do this, do you?
Right. Yeah. I just, I have a passion for working with kids, and I have a passion for the subject that I teach, Spanish, and I believe I do have the well, most of the time I believe I have the knowledge to teach the subject, which I know we'll talk about that in a second. But no, I do believe I have the knowledge to teach the subject that I teach, and I believe that's really all you need. I mean, a degree is nice, but nobody really asks me about that when they
Mm-mm.
ask about my tutoring. So
No, they don't. So Jim just shared on here that he also has spina bifida as well.
really, oh wow.
Yes. See, but it's not as severe as yours is. But yeah, Leah said, best is the best. Beth is the best. I said, best is the best. Best is the best. Beth is the best. Go, Beth. Woo, woo. And Kathy put in here that you so deserve it. Uh-oh. And Ann Mitchell put that it's snowing in Colorado today. So
Oh,
that's kind of a bummer. But for those of you who didn't catch why we're here with Beth, Beth is our Tutorpreneur Hero for 2019. And she gets to be our very last Tutorpreneur Hero. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting in here. Our very last Tutorpreneur Hero of the year. So we've saved the best for last, right?
aw.
Yeah. So it as we go through our journey in life, it takes us through this path,
Mhm.
and it's so exciting that your path led you to us, because we are so blessed to have you as part of our community, and have you here, because you do so many things that just make this an amazing place to be. And I tell people, like, a lot of people, like, they want to compliment me, like, in the community that I created, but honestly, our community is because of amazing people like Beth and the amazing people like you guys that are in here right now inside of the chat, like Ramona and Jim and Leah and Kathy and Anne and Ginger. Hey, Ginger, so glad that you are in the house. I didn't see you before, and we've got a new one in the house. So, and Jim E and Maria, I mean, our community is what it is today because of you guys and what you guys make it. And you guys have just, decided to take the teachings and apply them to your business and use them to be able to get results. And it's really, really exciting. Now,
sorry, go ahead.
I know I was going to say, so I know, like, because you didn't get your degree, that sometimes you feel like you suffer something that nobody else suffers. You know where I'm going already, don't you? So a lot of times we can go through this whole thing, imposter syndrome. And I went through it too, because I taught for 3 years in the school system. And then I became the reading specialist. So I was in charge of the reading program and organizing that and organizing all the professional development for teachers and all of that kind of stuff. But then when I started my own online tutoring business, even though I had a reading specialist degree, it was like, do I know what I'm doing to actually be able to help kids one-on-one? Because it's not really something that I had done. I had all this knowledge, but I hadn't really had the opportunity to apply that knowledge. And so online tutoring gave me the outlet to be able to start applying it. But I had that same feeling inside, like, oh my gosh, am I really going to be able to help these kids? Like, it kind of drove me a little crazy. And you go through the same thing. And I hear lots of other tutors that go through it. They go through this thing called imposter syndrome. So what was it like for you as you still conquer this idea of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, so that's exactly why I was joking that most of the time I believe that I can do this. But yes, so I do definitely experience imposter syndrome, and it's one of those things that I think a lot of or I would venture to guess that most online tutors deal with, but we don't talk it about enough, I don't think. And I've definitely dealt with it at every stage along the way, and even now as I've started to kind of get into the groove with a few students that I've been working with, I still deal with it. Am I doing enough for my students? Am I helping them with exactly what they need? Am I doing what's best for them? That kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So and at the beginning, it was more, do I have what it takes? Do I will anybody hire me because of my lack of a college degree, my lack of a formal teaching degree of any kind, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
And now, because people have started hiring me, that part has started to fizzle away. But I feel like imposter syndrome kind of develops and changes along the way.
Oh my gosh, it absolutely does. It absolutely does. It tries to take a peek in, like for me, like, who do you think you are to be organizing this community of people, and who's going to want to listen to you? And it still pops on in there, and it's like, all right, you don't get to be heard today. I'm sorry, little guy, go away, go away.
And that's why, like, I've appreciated so much the mindset work that we've done inside the community, because I feel like so many, and I was definitely guilty of this at the beginning. So many people try to kind of push that aside and just say, I just need to focus on how to get students and wanting to get students, and that's important. But I feel like if we don't work on the mindset stuff first, we're not going to be as effective with our students, and we're not going to be as effective at getting students. So that was definitely true for me. I needed to work on the mindset first, before and the imposter syndrome, before I ever got students. So
yeah, it definitely helps to acknowledge it and be able to know what to do with it versus just allowing it to seep on in there without anybody having a clue. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, most of your thoughts are negative, and you don't wonder why. You wonder, why am I not getting any clients? And oh, well, it must be because of all of these other a billion excuses as to why I'm not getting clients. The market is saturated. It must be that people don't want online tutoring. They only want in-person tutoring. It must be because I charge too much. It must be because we come up with all of these excuses as to why people aren't moving forward with us. And most of those excuses are exactly that. They're just excuses. They're not the real reason. They're just the easiest reason for us to believe. And they make us feel better because it's not me. There's not something I have to do with me. I don't have to do anything different with me. You know, it's them. And but we don't want to hold on to that stuff, do we?
No.
No.
And you're so right with all of those excuses. I believed every single one of them at at some point, I'm sure, but the price one was a big one for me. I played the lower my price game at different points. Like, okay, you know, they won't go for this price. How about I lower it to here, and you know, down and down and down. But it was really, how confident was I at explaining, you know, my price and talking about it. So
Oh, I so remember one of our calls we had. I know you do too, because I remember saying, so how much do you charge per hour? And you struggled to tell me in a confident voice what you charged per hour.
yep.
And I was like, oh no, this is not going to work. If you want to know why people are not moving forward with you, because I don't believe you when you tell me that that's what you charge. I don't even believe that you think that you're worth that.
Exactly. And it was you. It wasn't a client. I wasn't even like, I wasn't having to convince you. We were just practicing. So
Right. So I can only imagine what it sounded like if you were actually talking to a real client, right? Like
exactly.
I'm sure it sounded a little bit different, but I'm sure it didn't sound better.
Well,
Otherwise they would have moved forward, right? And so a lot of
no.
times this is what I love about my job. This is what I get so stoked about, Elizabeth, because I get the opportunity to be able to see things that other tutors wouldn't be able to see if they were working all by themselves, because nobody would be willing to tell them the truth. I
Exactly.
get I get to tell them the truth of what I'm hearing or what I'm noticing, and how can you tweak that, and how can you make that better so that it can actually work now.
Oh my goodness. And that was life changing for me. I mean, my consult calls are night and day different between before I started working with you and after. So, and they're so much better, and I convert so many more people. So
Yeah.
it's so helpful.
It
Um,
is. And you get to work with, so you've got like a small group of kids that you work with in your home, and then you work with a student in London. Tell
yep.
us about these experiences.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm just having the time of my life in both contexts. And that's the fun part about this type of field is you do get to work with different types of students. You narrow down your niche for marketing, but like you said, you don't have to say no to different types of students that walk through your door. And so um, so yes, I work with a little family of students on Wednesdays, and they're great. We have a lot of fun. We play games, and we sing songs, and we do little activities and things, because they're all just learning the basics of Spanish. And then
Mm-hmm.
I'm helping an older student with his GCSEs.
Mm-hmm.
So two completely different fields and experiences, and I really enjoy both. And it's a really nice experience for me to get to do both. So I don't know.
Yeah, and while one isn't your ideal client,
Mm-hmm.
you had the opportunity to say yes.
Exactly.
You
So
chose to. So that's awesome.
yeah. And so I market solely to parents of young kids, because that is my ideal client.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as the opportunity to tutor an older student came about, I was like, yes, absolutely, I would love to do that, because I
Yeah.
knew I could do it. And so I was like, okay, great, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, and especially since the specific area he needed to work on were the orals, and you're great at being able to speak Spanish. And so this was
oh,
a great opportunity for you and for him. So, tú
yeah.
eres la mujer.
Oh,
Mejor. I got it. Mejor. Tu eres la mejor. That was
oh,
what my Spanish exchange student that we have staying with us. I told her that she's supposed to teach me a sentence or a word every day, but that was my sentence of last week. I have to. She asks me what do I want to learn, and then I like make something up on the spot. And then
right,
she just
right.
teaches it to me.
Love
So I'm
that.
going to learn how to compliment people in Spanish. That's what
Yeah.
I'll do. I'll just learn like a whole bunch of different compliments.
Yeah, you should also learn like how to say the things that you tell us all the like the consult no, no, that would just confuse
Yeah.
people.
Yes, I will learn how to teach everything that I know in another language, you guys. We'll open it up to the whole Spanish speaking community, right?
Cool.
Why not? Why not? So for tutors that are just getting started today, what
Mhm.
advice would you give them?
So first of all, shameless plug to join the Jumpstart program in February when it opens again, um, because seriously, it will really help you get started. But I mean, because that's where I started. But then also, let me see. So my main advice would be to find out really early on exactly what you love tutoring. I mean, that was what I needed to do, was to find out what I really loved tutoring. Find out what you call it, like your superpower. Find out
Mm-hmm.
what your superpower is in tutoring, and what you can really market to students as, like, because you know people complain that the market for tutors is oversaturated, and I mean, there are a lot of tutors out there, but if you can find a way to make yourself stand out, then that's how you'll get attention and get students. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the best way to go. I mean, and the other advice I have is to the platforms are good to maybe get some experience if you don't really have some experience in the beginning. But I would try to strike out on your own as soon as you're comfortable doing so, because you'll be so much happier. You'll get more income. You'll just be in more control of your business overall. And yeah, and we can help you do that if you want to. So
Yeah, I love it. All right, keep your smile. Keep your smile. Oh, we got it. Because I'm taking a beautiful picture of you so that we can add this on our cover image. Why not, right? Nothing like having, your image on there. I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. You are such an incredible, amazing woman who is really making a huge impact. Now you have the opportunity to be able to give back and give to the community, and you do it so well on a daily basis. So thank you so much for what you do here. Um, okay, we've got tú sí puedes.
oh yes.
Yes, yes, you can. Ooh, ooh. You know what? We can all do this, you guys. There are enough people in the world for us to tutor. Think about all of the professions that are
Oh,
in the world, right? We all start off needing to learn something. And really that's what a tutor does, right? They are somebody who can take you from the level where you're at and bring it to the level where you want to be. Everybody needs a tutor or a coach or something at some point in their life. There is definitely, I would say, a shortage in the area of tutors available that can get results. So find out what your superpower is so that you can research everything in the world you possibly can and become the go-to person in that area. People want to hire a specialist. They do not want to hire a generalist. Okay. Now, some people they want the cheapest tutor. Peace. Go for it. But you know what? In our community, that's not what we strive for. We strive for being the best in the area that we tutor so we can serve students from all over the world to get the results that they were destined to be able to get.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's another thing that I was going to say about imposter syndrome is learning everything that you can in your area and in your specific niche, not in your general subject, in your specific superpower niche.
Mhm.
That's what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to develop my specific kind of journey scope, whatever you want to call it, for my tutoring, so that I can kind of conquer that imposter syndrome once for all. But if you learn everything that you can in your specific niche and you become that expert, you can conquer that imposter syndrome, and it's a really cool thing to see.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I just
Well,
wanted to
congratulations again. Ooh, ooh.
thank you
I'm
so much.
winning the award. Now, you guys, I want you to tune in next week because next week, Maria Jeffers, who is part of Career and College Counselors, is going to be joining us, and she's going to be sharing about what she does. And I've asked her to be on the YouTube Live because my daughter now is going through college, and as I have sought out her services, I have been blown away. There's so many things that we do not know, and so I was like, oh my gosh, like every SAT, every ACT, every high school tutor, every tutor that like wants to make sure that their students are on the right path needs to share Maria with them because she is incredible with the advice that she shares that is not available in the school system today. How do I know? Because I've experienced it for myself. So I'm super excited to share her with you guys next week. So definitely come back and learn more about what she does. Thanks for joining us today, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye.